Assalamu alaikum, Army Public School and College Khanewal. It's class second year biology lecture. Chapter number 18, chemical coordination, and the topic is about adrenal glands, gonads, positive and negative feedback mechanism. So let's start with the adrenal glands that are adrenocortical hormone they release. Here you can see the kidney, structure of the kidney. Adrenal, the term that is related to the kidney. So these are the glands which are present on the kidney surface. You can see here. This is the structure of the gland which are present above the kidney. If you remember about the structure of the kidney, then you know that kidney was having two structures. The outermost was the medulla. The outermost was the cortex, and inside of that was the medulla. So it's mean there are two types of hormones that locate on medulla and cortex. They are different. The hormones that are present on the renal medulla, they will be different, and those who are present on the cortex, they will also be the different. And hence they are performing their different functions in the area of the kidney for its functioning. So let's see that what type of hormones are present there and what are their functions. If we talk about the introduction, the body has two adrenal glands, each located on the superior pole of each kidney. Yes, you are having two kidneys, that means two glands are there. Each adrenal gland is structurally and functionally differentiated into regions or zones, the adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. This is the outer or peripheral zone of the adrenal gland, which makes up the bulk of glands. Adrenal medulla, this is the inner zone of the adrenal gland. So in this picture, they are also cleared. Okay, so let's start with the adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Now I am going to elaborate about these two parts. They are having their different hormones, and that hormone are carrying their different functions in the body. So let's start with that. Medullary hormones. It's mean that renal medulla area. And the renal medulla was the inside part, right? And it is having its two hormones that are given here. Number one is adrenaline, and number two is non-adrenaline. Okay, these are the two hormones uh, which are present in the medulla part of the kidney. Next is the cortical hormones. It's mean those hormones which are present on the cortex of the kidney. They are cortisone and aldosterone. So these two hormones, these are example of hormones. So the cortisone is also called the glucocorticoids. This is a cortisone. It's an example of glucocorticoids, which is hormone of cortex. And other, this is the aldosterone. It is an example of mineral corticoids. So these two hormones are present for the cortex region, and these two hormones are present for the medulla region. Now let's start with their function. What are they doing there? Secreted in stress situation, these hormones, if we talk about these two hormones, both these medullary hormones, adrenaline and the non-adrenaline, produced by the medulla. Now, both are involved in the body's immediate response to stress. It's mean they are giving the immediate response to stress. Wherever the stress conditions are coming, the response is given by these two hormones. Okay, so this is their common function of these two hormones. But if we talk about these two hormones, the cortisone and aldosterone, they also work under one factor, that is the adrenal corticotropic hormone. It is also especially activates in shock and infections condition. It's mean it is also activated in the shock condition or in infection condition. And this hormone, these two hormones are also secreted in the time when there is a stress condition. So needs to remember the function of these hormones. Okay, let's see that this is the adrenaline. I'm starting with it. The first one, hormone of the medulla, is adrenaline, that is also known as the epinephrine. Its second name is epinephrine. So this is a potent stimulator of metabolic activities. What its functions for? In metabolic activities, it is playing its role, like it is helping in the bronchial dilation. What is the meaning of the bronchial dilation? You remember that during the process of inhalation, it is also working there. The adrenaline is helping your bronchs to dilate. Number two, it increases blood flow. This is the very important function of adrenaline or epinephrine, that it increases blood flow to skeletal muscles and heart. You can say that your blood circulation in the body is being controlled by this hormone, which is known as the adrenaline. Its second name is epinephrine, and it is present in renal medulla. Now I'm going to tell you about the second hormone that is given here, the non-adrenaline, or it is also known as the non-epinephrine. All right. It has a greater influence on peripheral vasoconstrictions. Vasoconstrictions mean when here it was working for the bronchial dilation, adrenaline. And if you see about this non-adrenaline, it's peripheral vasoconstriction. The net effect is rise in blood pressure. Except then this vasoconstriction process, it is also helping for the rising in the blood pressure. It means non-adrenaline in your body, it is increasing the blood pressure. Next to it is constrict blood vessels. Yes, I have already described here vasoconstriction. It means it constrict blood vessels in certain areas in the region of the gut. The gut area, it is constricting the blood vessels, and vasoconstriction take place here. Combined effects, synergetics. What is the combined effect? I will tell you later. That will be the same for the cortical hormones and medullary hormones. But we have discussed here the medullary hormones. There were two hormones, adrenaline and non-adrenaline. Common function is given here. The next, what they work for: adrenaline, metabolic, helping in the metabolic activities, bronchial dilation, increase the blood flow. You can simply say it also increase the BP to skeletal muscles and heart. And next is non-adrenaline. It is helping for the vasoconstriction, rising the blood pressure, and in the area of gut, constricting blood vessels. I will tell you later about the combined effect. I'm not going to tell you now. Now let's see about this. We are done with these two hormones of medullary hormones. Now see the cortical hormones, cortisone and aldosterone. Let's see them. The cortisone is an example of glucocorticoid hormone, which is a basic hormone of cortex region, right? What it works for? It increases blood glucose level by functioning from protein and by antagonizing the action of glucose. How it is increasing your blood glucose level? Cortisone is increasing the blood glucose level basically. How? From proteins, yes. You know that when proteins circulate, they also produce the glucose, and by antagonizing the action of glucose, and glucose breakdown is also producing the sugar in the body. Okay. Next to it is the aldosterone. That is another hormone, and it's an example of this one, mineral corticoid. These two are the hormones. These two are the hormones of this region, cortex region, and its works for cortex mainly secrete aldosterone, convert level of sodium ion in the body. What it works for? It convert the, what it converts? Sodium ions in the body by preventing their loss from the kidney tubules. Yes, aldosterone is a hormone that does not allow sodium to exit from the kidney tubules. It prevents the sodium ions in the bodies, convert level of sodium ions in the body, and don't let them go out of the tubules. So it is a function of the aldosterone to maintain the salt composition or ions composition in the body. Next to it is a corticosterone hormone. Increase blood glucose level. Its function is also same, that it is increasing the blood glucose level So it is both glucocorticoids and mineral corticoids. So we considered it for that this third hormone, it is working for both, like it is for cortisone and aldosterone. You can simply say glucocorticoids and mineral corticoids, both they are functioning. The same corticosterone is doing. It is increasing the blood glucose level, and it is useful for both glucocorticoids and mineral corticoids. Next to it is the androgens. Number 4 hormone, its the second name is testosterone. It produced from the cortex in the both male and female. Major site is testis, male gonads. Because testosterone is male hormone, it's mean it is working in the male gonads system. We will see it later. Okay. So here the hormones are ending of both region, the medullary and the cortical regions. Now I am going to tell you about its synergetic effects, combined effects of the adrenaline and non-adrenaline. What is their what was the common effect of these? Like they are doing the same work. If you remember, this was increasing the blood flow of the skeletal muscles, right? And bronchial dilation and bronchial dilation. In the next, you can see here, next slide is, and here, peripheral vasoconstriction, and the net effect is rise in BP. So combined function is that both hormones are involved in raising blood pressure and promote release of glucose from liver glycogen. So two effects, increasing blood pressure and increasing glucose level, is called its combined effect for non-adrenaline and adrenaline, or you can say it epinephrine or non-epinephrine. Till here it's done. Yes, class.
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I am telling you about its oversecretion and undersecretion. If we say that in your body, the medullary hormones are in oversecretion, means they are excess in amount, they cause hypertension and aggressive behavior in routine life. That a person can feel such situations if this hormone is releasing in excess amount, if it is having the oversecretion. And if a person having undersecretion of this hormone, it causes failure to combat with stress situation. He or she cannot fight with this the stress situation. As you know, its basic function was to be fight with against the stress. You know that when your blood pressure rises, when your blood vessels constricted, when your glucose level high, these all are the type of stress conditions. And for that purpose, what is working in your body? The hormone, that is adrenaline and non-adrenaline, are working there. And if we talk about the cortical hormones, and a person, if he has over secretion, then he may feel one disease that is called a Cushing disease. Remember it, okay? This is important for you, that over secretion of cortical hormones cause one disease called the Cushing disease. What it is? Excessive protein breakdown in the body, muscular bones weakness. These two things happen in the Cushing disease. And undersecretion cause the Addison's disease, and what its symptoms leads metabolic disturbance, weakness of muscles action, loss of salt, stress situation leads that. As you know that these hormones were controlling the ions, the sodium ions in the body, and don't let them to be out through the tubules. So if under secretion of this hormone take place, it's been loss of salt, stress situation lead that. Weakness of muscles action will take place. Obviously there leads metabolic disturbance. So these are Addison's disease and Cushing disease. Need to remember the over secretion and under secretion causing different diseases here. So here we are ending your adrenal glands. Now moving towards the next gland, that is the gonads. Gonads are actually we combinedly say about the testes and ovaries, gonads are special type of endocrine glands which besides hormone secretion also produce the gametes. It means gonads are not only giving rise the hormones, beside this it is also making the gametes. And what are the gametes? Male and female sex cells are called the gametes. Organs that make gametes, gonads in males are the testes and gonad in females are the ovaries. You are known about it. The gametes are haploid germ cells. In males, they are spermatozoon, and in the females, they are the egg cells. Okay, now see that what are the ovary? Female gonads are the ovaries and male gonads are the testes. And now I'm going to tell you about the hormones of the testes and the hormones of the ovaries. Okay, female gonads ovary. You can see here the structure of the ovary and what two basic hormones which are released by the ovary and what are the function of that hormones. Gametogenic function is hormonal activity. A cyclic function, menstrual cycle is also take place here. The ovarian hormones are two here. Number one is estrogen. Number two is the progesterone. So let's start with the estrogen. I am going to tell you about the estrogen here. You can see simply the ovaries are giving like this hormone and these are the functions of ovarian hormones. Let's see it. Number one. Estrogen is secreted by ripening follicle called the Graafian follicle. Yes, from where it is releasing? It is releasing from the Graafian follicle. The development of the follicles are the cells, okay, that are produced in the ovaries. So thickness uterine lining, estrogen is a hormone which is functioning thickness uterine lining, endometrium. So these are the walls of the uterus which is present here. Okay. Next thing, estrogen inhibit follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormone for most of the cycle. So estrogen is also inhibiting these two. It is inhibiting the function of these two hormones. Next to it, what is the function that it stimulates also follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormone release pre-ovulation. It means before ovulation, estrogen release these, but when ovulation started, when ovulation doesn't take place, okay, then they are inhibited, they are removed from the body through a cycle. So these are the functions of the estrogen. Number one, thickening the uterine wall. Here this is a wall and it is making it. Next thing, it inhibits follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone for most of the cycles. Yes, when the cycle started, these two hormones functioning is inhibited by estrogen. But when ovulation takes place, then these two hormones are stimulated by the estrogen. So this is a function of estrogen. Besides this, estrogen is also responsible for the secondary sexual characters in the females. And one thing more, it also aids in healing and repair of uterine wall after the menstruation. Next to it is the under secretion and over secretion. Yes, if estrogen, if a female that is having low level of estrogen in the body, then what happened? Deficiency of sex hormones leads in young of failure to mature sexually and sterility in the adult. Sterility can be happened if this hormone is not producing in its accurate amount. Next is the over secretion. Yes, if sometimes it's over secreted in the body, it leads to development of fibroids, means abnormal growth in uterus and polycystic ovaries. There becomes a different, you can say that kind of cysts are made in the ovaries when this hormone is in excess amount. So the under secretion causes the sterility, and excess condition is causing the fibroids, or you can say polycystic ovaries. This happened here, and the functions are given. So estrogen is done. Now I'm moving towards the progesterone, that is another hormone of female. What it works for, it thickens uterine lining. Yes, it is also giving the thickness into the uterine lining, inhibits follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. Okay, functions of progesterones. It prevents many follicles. Follicles are the, you can say, the cells, the reproductive cells, right? It in this way it prevents any more follicle from ripening. It suppresses the ovulation. This is why major component of birth control pill. Yes, this is the progesterone hormone. It suppresses the ovulation, remember, okay? That is why it's a major component of birth control pill. This is a progesterone hormone. Okay, what happened if its under secretion take place in the body? That in female, if this hormone doesn't produce in its accurate amount, what it cause? Under secretion of progesterone during menstrual cycle decreases the chance of pregnancy and may cause early menstruation because of this progesterone, because it inhibits the follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormone. And next to it is secretion. Under secretion during pregnancy may lead to the miscarriage. That's why this hormone is compulsory for the proper menstrual cycle. And the second thing, for carrying the pregnancy, this hormone is also responsible. So under secretion of this can lead to problems that I told you. Are you done with this?
Yes, Miss.
Now I'm going to tell you about the female gonads. Yes, we have discussed with them. Let's read it. Estrogens, group of female sex hormone important for reproduction and development of female sex characteristics. Estrogens are responsible for growth and maturation of the uterus and vagina, breast development, widening of the pelvis, greater fat distribution in the hips, thighs, and breast, change during the menstrual cycle, and increased growth of body hair. So this is the work of the estrogen. And progesterone hormones that functions to prepare the uterus for conception, regulates uterus changes during the menstrual cycle, increase sexual desires, aids in ovulation, and stimulates gland development for milk production during the pregnancy. Next is the male gonad, that is called the testosterone, androgens. The sex hormones important for the development of male sex organs and sex characteristics. Testosterone is responsible for increased muscles and bone mass. So its function is increased muscles and bone mass, increased growth of body hair, development of broad shoulders, deepening of the voice, and growth of the male reproductive structure. For these all purposes, testosterone is the responsible. There is another hormone which is also the male hormone, that is the 17 beta hydroxy testosterone. And what is function for in the fetus? It initiates development of the sex organs at puberty. Male secondary characteristics are controlled. And if deficiency of this hormone take place in males, then what happens? Fails to develop secondary sexual characteristics. They cannot develop the secondary characteristics, and their body is more like an immature female. Fine? Like they develop the feminine characteristics in their body because of the under secretion of this hormone, that is the testosterone. And simply you can say that male sterility, that male are unable to reproduce. Next to it is the feedback mechanism. It is a type of interaction in which a controlling mechanism is self-controlled by the product of reaction in its controlling. I'm going to tell you about the positive feedback mechanism. Here we are having one example of childbirth role with the oxytocin hormone. So one female hormone is also there, that is called the oxytocin, which help for the birth of the baby, and it is called the positive feedback mechanism. How? Because when the uterus walls needs to be dilate, at that time oxytocin hormone is secreted. Till the time the baby births take place, it remains on secreting, and when the process is done, it is being stopped. So this is an example of positive feedback mechanism. You can see here, brain stimulates pituitary to secrete oxytocin. The mother brain stimulates pituitary glands to secrete oxytocin hormone on the time of the birth. Now, oxytocin induces contraction where in the wall of the uterus. Contraction causes release of prostaglandins. These are the further. What are these? These are also the hormones, right? Oxytocin induces contraction, cause release of prostaglandins. That more oxytocin is secreted in the body, which is continuously helping for the process of the contraction, and hence the baby's birth take place. So it is an example of positive feedback mechanism with effect of oxytocin hormone, which is secreting continuously and helping the contraction of uterus walls to expel the baby out. Next it is the negative feedback mechanism. If you see the negative feedback mechanism, it means the output is increasing, that the output of the reaction is increasing, due to which we have to stable the input of the reaction, right? For this purpose, you can see here that if stimulus blood glucose level rises, suppose that you are eating this cake and your blood glucose level is high, what is the pancreas function at that time? It is secreting the insulin here, and what insulins do? Insulin is here to control this high level of blood glucose. Okay, now what it works for, it gives order to the liver to store this glucose in the form of glycogen. Now your glucose has been stored in the form of glycogen. This is being done by the liver and controlling insulin. It means insulin has controlled the situation of high blood glucose level with the help of liver. Now what happened? Blood glucose level declines because glucose has changed into the glycogen. Okay, now what happened? Homeostasis needs to be maintained. Why? Because blood glucose level is declined now. We need to erase it. For this purpose, what happened? Stimulus 2, blood glucose level fall, right? Here the blood glucose level is fall. Now what happened? The pancreas again release, when alpha cells are releasing this hormone, that is glucagon. Glucagon, what it works for, here the stored glycogen was present, right? Now it will change that glycogen back into the glucose with the help of liver. Now the stored stored glycogen has changed into the glucose, so the blood glucose level is rising, and hence the situation, the homeostasis is maintained in the body. So the output is increasing here of one reaction, due to which we have to maintain the input, that is called the negative feedback mechanism. Understand? Yes, please.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay, here our this chapter ends. Any question, please tell me.